Are we good? We are good. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Welcome back to MUFC versus everybody. I am your host, Sean. And again, this is the Manchester United fan channel that is fan opinion all the time, always. We are built by your opinion, powered by your opinion, your views, your feedback, your perspective, your thoughts, even your contradictions, even if you want to disagree with. That's why we're here. And this is a chat about any and all things related to Manchester United news, transfer talk, match previews, match reviews, player, all of it. So I appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate everybody contributing to the growth that the channel has seen. I look forward to seeing where it goes next. And because all that means is that more people are getting involved, more people are sharing their thoughts. And as always, like I say, this is your channel. I'm just here to facilitate the conversation and put out the topic. So thank you guys all again for helping the channel be what it is and helping it grow. So today, a little bit of a different video, obviously a bit of a slow day as far as transfer news is concerned, but some of the McTominay transfer saga that's been going on for several weeks now has just got me thinking, because I've seen some conflicting opinions, some divisive views on Scott McTominay as a Manchester United player. Is he good enough? Should we sell him? Should we keep him? Things. I saw someone on Twitter earlier talking about just his attitude, his effort, his leadership, his just the way he's happy to do whatever needs to be done for the club. And then you have some people who are just, ready to think we can improve upon him, haven't really seen enough. He's been part of in and around the first team squad for a while, hasn't exactly shown that he's maybe just ready to make a spot in the starting 11 his own. But that's what we're here to talk about today. The question is, should we sell McTominay? Danny B, big up, man. How are you doing? A little bit later today, obviously, this isn't my full-time thing or anything. This is a hobby right now, and so I do have other stuff going on, so this was the earliest I could swing it today. So I took advantage to put this video together, run out and got some groceries and all that fun stuff, and then pick it up where we left off later. But as the Scott McTominay transfer saga continues, I wanted to put the question out there to everybody. Should United sell Scott McTominay? Should we be considering that? Should we be fighting to keep him? Again, like I said, fans, pundits, and former players have criticized for the last several years now the lack of leaders in the squad, the lack of players at United who want to fight for the badge. With that in mind, is it wise to sell a player who ticks those boxes? He's an academy graduate too, so that's gonna tick a big box for a lot of fans. Or in a time when financial fair play, PSR hold us back, and yes, they hold us back, so don't give me that, United have spent this much stuff. They hold us back. We've seen it time and time again. In a time where that's a thing, would pure profit from McTominay's sale be too good to pass up? Is that too good of an opportunity? Is he just not the level that we need? Could we improve upon him for less than we're going to explore this a little bit today, and I'll let you guys decide what you do if you were in charge, basically. So before we do get stuck in, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's chat about Scott McTominay. I'm going to crack this window because it is beautiful outside. This is my favorite type of weather. I love fall. Obviously, it's not fall, but it's kind of cool out today. It's only like 70. It's breezy. It feels like fall. I love it. So the only thing that would make it better if I had like a pumpkin spice latte. Yes, I am one of those people. Don't judge. I am pumpkin spice everything in the fall. I would swim in pumpkin spice latte if it were, socially acceptable. Danny B says, we will never get to the top level with McTominay as our squad player. Take 25 and improve our FFP. KD, welcome back, buddy. How are you? It's been a minute. How's everything going, man? I know you're having some issues going on. You don't have to go into detail, but let me know what's going on, man, how everybody's doing. So I feel like I've been sharing Scott McTominay updates pretty much every day. Dharmesh Sheth with Sky Sports popped up this morning. He said Fulham have reopened talks over signing Scott McTominay. They've had 2 bids rejected already. They're willing to return to the table if there's an indication from United that we are willing to negotiate the price. Fulham is now expected to make an improved offer if those talks go well, it sounds like. And then we've got some new Burnley links. Sounds like Burnley, as far as Sander Berge is concerned, have seen what we're asking for McTominay. They kind of know what they can expect, the kind of influx of cash that they can expect United to get, maybe. And I think that that's kind of forced Burnley to kind of dig in their heels a little bit as far as Sander Berge is concerned. And they're entitled to, but Sander Berge is not worth what Burnley want right now. McTominay is easily worth twice as much as whatever Burnley is going to ask for Sander Berge. Fabrizio Romano does add to this as well. He says Marco Silva is a big fan of Scott McTominay. And I think I saw, wasn't there a match last season where Silva and McTominay were chatting a little bit after a final whistle? Do you guys remember that? Katie says, getting back on track. Yeah, good to hear it, bud. Good to hear it, man. We thought you're with you, my guy. Danny B says 30 million too much for Berge. Yeah, I think that is too much. Better to get an up-and-coming CDM. Yeah, you could definitely get an up-and-coming CDM for that. We've spoken, Danny B and I we're like this when it comes to looking out for some of these up-and-comers that are around the game. Like Arthur Vermeeren, I really liked Arthur Vermeeren in Antwerp. Obviously, he went to Atletico Madrid. We'll see what he does there. Nicholas Seawald, I like at Leipzig. You know, they're everywhere. And then we got a big thing today coming from a Italian source called Tutto Napoli. So it's basically a Neapolitan source, but they claim, so I've yet to see this substantiated by a whole lot of other sources, but they claim that Fulham have reportedly matched United's asking price of 30 million for Scott McTominay. So that could be big news for a lot of us, right? We got Simon Jones with Mail Sport today talking about Manchester United have made an offer for Sander Berge, still short of the 30 million pounds that Burnley want. Again, he's not worth 30 million. Sounds like you guys agree. Berge does want to leave. United want him. With this one, it may come down to the last hours of the transfer window, but if we do get him, I don't think it's going to be for 30 million. I think if Berge does want to leave, and we are basically kind of letting him and his representatives know that we're not paying that, he needs to basically put in a transfer request. He's already not playing in Burnley's opening match. He didn't feature in the squad the other day. Same with Ugarte. So we'll see what happens, but we'll keep an eye on that one. Like I said, no major sources have had their say on it. Surprisingly, though, the idea of selling McTominay has been more divisive than I thought as we've got some of this big news. Again, like I said, there's a percentage of the fan base who love his effort, his passion. They think his ideal as a squad player. They think that it's hard to improve upon him as a squad player. You and I have discussed maybe that's not the case. And then again, you have others kind of like myself and some other on the channel that think that he just doesn't offer enough as a footballer. And again, pure profit. I think that we could definitely replace him with a better player for roughly like half or maybe like 20 million if we play our cards right. It's an interesting conversation to have. So I hear both arguments as far as Scott McTominay is concerned. I've said many times he's not a bad footballer, and take nothing away from the goals and his key moments that he contributed last season, especially, right? That was a big season for him. And then like my buddy Justin, who not able to make it for the award show on Saturday. If you're able to go watch that over a week ago, go ahead and watch that. But he did pick McTominay as his player of the season. His gladiator mentality, the moments that he had, I think there's, and I'm not saying I disagree. Like I said on the channel live, I thought he made a lot of good points, and a lot of that, Justin and I do share a lot of similar views when it comes to the types of traits that we value in players. Some of those intangibles are hard to replicate. And especially in the modern game, you don't see that as much anymore. A lot of players, I hate to use the word mercenaries, but for a lack of a better term, that's what I'm going to go with. So you don't have a lot of players who are willing to just, like your Nemanja Vidić's, your Roy Keane's, your Wayne Rooney's, sometimes just, willing to run through a brick wall. And we've seen that McTominay is willing to do that if he also maybe is lacking a bit in terms of just the talent, the football intelligence, those kind of things. Danny B mentioned a couple. Mandela. I like Mandela, Keita, Antwerp, yeah. Danny B, looks like Fulham will pay 30 million pounds. We will see, my friend. McTominay gets what it means to play for United, like we said on that awards show video. We can't complain when players don't put in the effort and then not give McTominay credit for doing so each and every time he puts on the shirt. It's like Phil Jones. You can never, ever question Phil Jones's passion and effort and fight for the badge, even if you can question his overall ability as a footballer or his fitness in Phil Jones's case. Like there are managers everywhere. There's a reason that Mourinho loves McTominay, Ollie loves McTominay. It's that fight. Ten Hag likes McTominay. It's just that, can we replicate what he lacks and still kind of replicate maybe what he offers as well? That's a hard one to do. You never know, obviously, how much someone's going to fight for the badge. Just because they're not coming from the academy doesn't mean they won't fight for the badge, just like McTominay has. McTominay isn't world class, obviously. On the ball, he's not world class in his positioning. He can't really defend all that well. He can't pick a pass. And in a different setup, though, under a different manager, I think McTominay would actually be a fine footballer. Like if you look at what Thomas Suchek does for West Ham, I think McTominay could replicate that very well. I think he would do very well, like in Everton, maybe even like a Brentford or something. Maybe even spend a year in the Championship. I don't know. I doubt that he would want to. It sounds like he wants Premier League football, but he just doesn't offer enough in a tactical setup. He doesn't have that reading of the game. He doesn't have that ability to pick a pass, to retain possession. He does have a good shot on him. I'll give him that. And he does cause a lot of problems in the box, but we'll get to that a little bit here. Nick Fairley, you look fit. Are you an athlete yourself? Are you talking about me? Welcome back to the channel, Fit. Thank you. I mean, I appreciate the the flattery, the compliment. I'm 38. I don't feel fit most days. I definitely don't feel but I do try to exercise mostly so I can continue to keep up with my dogs. And I do still play footy as often as I can. It's hard now just as people get busy and people get older. And then obviously when you get older, your body starts to not really respond to it well, but I appreciate Nick. I used to play though. I just don't play that much anymore, but now it's mostly kayaking, and then just kind of exercising here. And then my dogs keep me pretty busy. I probably walk about 2 or 3 miles with them every day. So, KD, yes, players like Fletcher, Ji-Sung Park, McSauce give more to a team than a lazy, over-talented star because they give everything in their abilities for the shit. Yeah, and that's what we're exploring today, KD, whether or not that's enough, whether or not, compared to like what someone actually does on the ball, what they offer as a footballer, not just the effort and the fight and the passion, is that enough? And so we'll keep going with McTominay for a second here. If you haven't yet liked the video, please go ahead and do that, guys. Subscribe if you are new. On McTominay. So obviously last season was a good season for McTominay, right? Considering where he plays on the pitch and his role in the squad, right? He's not really like a for sure mainstay in the starting 11 all the time. And he plays in a position where you're not going to be known for getting a whole lot of goals, a whole lot of assists, a lot of getting involved. But McTominay did grab 7 goals and 1 assist in the league last season in just 18 starts and 32 matches overall. Like we mentioned in the award show, he came on against Brentford last season, scored those 2 goals to win us the match. He grabbed that opening goal against Liverpool in the FA Cup quarterfinal, and that's because he has a knack for popping up in the box, causing chaos, and he does have a good shot. I've always said McTominay does have a good shot. Remember, when he was young, he started off as a striker. He does have that kind of instinct, that ability to pivot and turn with his back to goal, to go from his back to goal to facing goal and getting a shot off. McTominay has that in the box. It's almost like he's a poacher sometimes, and he does have a knack for making those box crashing runs, those third man runs a lot, and causing problems on set pieces as well. Problem is, he's a midfielder, not a striker. He needs to offer more in the role that he's going to be playing on the pitch than just a good shot. And I think maybe Ten Hag is starting to realize this. That's why you see McTominay, when he's been playing, even late last season, he's been playing more in that number 10 role, where he can cause a little more havoc and really kind of amplify his positive traits, and kind of not let him be a detriment in that 6 role. That 6 role is a very, very stressful role to play. And I've always said, in that deep role, whether it's a pivot, whether it's a lone stick, the most important trait you're going to have is composure. You need to be able to be calm on the ball when under pressure, especially now with so many teams pressing the way they do. You have to be able to be calm and not freak out, play a bad pass, lose possession in that delicate area of the pitch. You have to be able to do that more so than having a good pass, more so than having a good tackle, more so than being big, being strong, whatever. You need to be able to have composure on the ball in those moments. So let's take a look at McTominay's numbers a little bit. Danny says, I think Collier would give us fighting quality. I think he could too. And I for some reason, I keep forgetting about Collier, man. You keep reminding me, Danny, and I keep forgetting that Collier's there. And so I think that Collier could play a role. Whether or not that's a kind of squad, a consistent role in the squad is one thing. Because what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to ask yourself, is Collier good enough to take McTominay's place in the matchday squad on a regular, consistent basis? If not, then you have to replace McTominay with someone who can, because that's what I've said. It was Wan-Bissaka. I said it with McTominay. You have to replace these players if we sell them, because we don't have the depth necessarily. And that doesn't just mean the player themselves. It means their role in the squad, whether that's a role in the starting 11, whether that's a role in the matchday squad or whatever. You need to be able to replace that. KD, has anyone had a good look at Berge? He will be an upgrade on McTominay. I'm assuming that's why play with Ugarte and Casemiro's competition successor. Yeah, we spoke a little bit about Berge last week. It might have been when you were gone, Kitty. You probably missed it. I did go into a little bit more detail. I'll go in a little bit more detail today. I do have a little bit of numbers from him, but long story, and maybe I'll just wait till we get there, but I'll handle it. Yeah, Berge, I mean, if you've been watching the Premier League the last couple of years, obviously he joined Sheffield United from Genk, and then now he's with Burnley. But he's been kind of yo-yoing with the clubs as they've been getting relegated and promoted. So, but he's not a 6, so we'll start with that. He's not a 6. He's more of a box-to-box. He's more of an 8. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Danny B, I think McTominay was a striker /10 before he broke through. We tried to make him into a CDM and CB under Jose. Yeah, he's not a CDM. I know he's played center back for Scotland, but I mean, didn't they used to play with like a back 3 when he did that? And he looks decent for Scotland, right? He's not bad. I think it's, what have I always said? It's about manager and it's about this tactics more than it is about the team and stuff. You know, under some managers, being able to win that aerial ball, being able to just quickly pass it off to a player and launch a counter, he might be fine, just like Harry Maguire. But under a more tactical manager, where you are going to have to be better at reading the game, at discerning, you know, the triggers in the right moments, and being able to be better on the ball, I just don't think he has that. Danny B says Berge has quality, but should not pay 30 million. Danny says Jose played him CB first. Yeah, and that's the thing. He's like this quintessential kind of Premier League, you know, almost stereotypical footballer, the big, tall, kind of fast on the sprint footballer. It is what it is. So on McTominay's numbers. So as far as goals from midfielders go, right, compared to other midfielders in the top 5 leagues, last year McTominay was in the top 1% for non-penalty goals and non-penalty expected goals. So he's obviously a big season for him in that 6 role, getting 7 goals in the league. Top 10% for touches in the box. All 7 of his goals, his league goals in the Premier League last year, were from inside the box. So again, he causes problems in the box. He's good at that. And his size means he does offer a bit in the air, right? He's in the 84th percentile for aerial duels, and he's even in the top 5% for clearances. So he just gets rid of the ball. And what have I always said? In your own box, what's your first job? Just clear the danger, figure it out after that, but just get it out of the box. United have not been great at that, and I don't think that we should just willy-nilly kind of just dismiss players who are good at that. And that doesn't mean I say keep him, but I think it's a trait that I value, is just don't try to take it down in the box. Don't try to play it on the ground. Just get rid of just clear the danger. United have barely able to clear their browser history in the last few years, let alone clear that box or clear the ball in the area. We make sure we're doing that, taking the initiative and getting rid of it. McTominay does that. Last year, though, was definitely an outlier year for those goals, because in the year prior, so Ten Hag's first season, the only metrics that McTominay was stellar in were those clearances and those aerial duels. To be fair, though, he was in the top 1% for both of those, so he was among the best in top 5 leagues for midfielders for clearing the ball and winning his aerial duels. But other than that, in Ten Hag's first year, he didn't really do much. I think as Ten Hag has experimented with different roles for him, and we've seen him kind of highlight some of the other areas of his game this last year. And then the year before that 21-22 season was more the same, just aerial duels, clearances, and then blocks. And then the year before, et cetera, et cetera. So McTominay's consistent metrics that he excels in is those just the traits that highlight your physical ability, you know, making blocks, making clearances, winning the ball in the air. That's what he does. He's never really been great at tackles, never really been great at interceptions, because that comes from reading the game, not just being big and fast. You have to be able to read the game. And so Nick says McTominay could play on the edge of the box, the ledge of the box. You guys are funny. How's everybody doing today? Is it lunchtime for you guys? It's about lunchtime for me and my dogs here shortly. Let me know what you guys are up to today. Monday, right? So yes, McTominay is a physical presence, right? It cannot be argued. Looking at his frame and then just, again, those related metrics, that's what he's excelling at as well. But this is where United's interest in Sander Berge enters the chat. Like I've outlined in that previous video, Berge is not a 6. So to answer your question, Katie, yeah, Berge is not a 6. He's not the kind of player who's going to sweep up the danger, who's going to make those tackles like an Ugarte, like a prime Casemiro, like an N'Golo Kante. So Berge is not the Casemiro replacement. It sounds like Berge is the McTominay replacement. You know, he's similar age. I think Berge is 25, 26. Again, he's kind of good at progressing that ball. He's not great when it comes. He's better than McTominay when it comes to tackles, but it's not like his thing. At least in that Ugarte sense. He's not the guy who sits in front of the defense and patrols us half the pitch and he breaks up play. He's not the guy who's going to constantly win the ball, put in those tackles. His progressive carries and his passing numbers have consistently been solid. Top 25% for those carries and top 15% for pass completion last year. So for a guy he's not your Frankie de Jong, he's not that Luka Modric playmaker, he's not that Ugarte, Casemiro, N'Golo Kante, tackler. He's the guy who's going to do a little, he's going to like that Thomas Souček, or maybe kind of like what Declan Rice has formed into at Arsenal, where Declan Rice was more of a deeper midfielder at West Ham. At Arsenal, he's been given more of that license to get forward a little bit and progress the ball. That's kind of like what you're going to get with Berge. I'm not saying he's as good as Declan Rice before anybody clips that up, but that's the style of player that he is in terms of midfield. And we've talked about that before in that other video. He's also a big guy, right? He's top 10% for aerial duels, top 20% for clearances, and he's in the top 25% for those blocks. And he's still in the 70th percentile for tackles. Like I said, he's not horrible at tackling. He's actually pretty decent. So 70% is still one standard deviation to the right of the middle. If you guys know your bell curve, go look that up. So it's pretty good. Danny B says, just back from a walk with the dog myself, Sean. Oh, good deal. 3-day weekend like that. Yeah, there's dogs that keep you busy, right? I've got two, and they just, if I don't walk them, they start acting a fool, and then time to let them out again. But the one dog got an ACL issue, so she can't, no more frisbee or anything for her, but she still gets to walk and stuff. But yeah, ACL, once the ACL goes, it's hard to get back from that. But she's still running strong. She's about 8.5 now. So in 22-23, Sander Berge was trusted to progress the ball a little bit more. He's progressive carry. So again, 2 years ago. So we went through his numbers last year. This is 2 years ago. Progressive carries, progressive passes, take-ons, progressive passes received, touches in the opposition box. So he's getting forward. He's getting the ball in advanced positions, and he's moving the ball forward. That's what all that means. All those stats were stellar in 22-23 season. Season before that, 21-22, more of the same. With Sheffield United in 2021, good carries, good take-ons, good touches in the box. You see where I'm going with Sander Berge. He's more of that advanced midfielder. So the question there is that what we need at United? We don't play with like a 4-3-3 with 2 8s who are going to get forward. We play with a 4-2-3-1. Do we need more bodies in that advanced position? It's hard, right? So there's a debate. It never hurts to have more players that can do that, but do we want too many players up there getting in that congested space? Especially off the ball. We've seen off the ball now with this hexagon, this 4-2-4. Our wingers are going to move a little centrally to cut off these inward balls, and the two advanced players, usually the 9 and the 10, are going to be pressing. And then you've got your two midfielders in there. It sounds like it's going to be Kabi and Casemiro unless we get Ugarte. So where would Berge play in that? Would he play in the 10? Would he sit where Kabi sits? And things like that. These are the kind of things you have to think about. If we sell McTominay for 30 million, and if we're able to get the price for Berge to a more realistic number, and also bring in Ugarte, then I would honestly call that a steal this summer. Almost as big of a steal as what we did for Mizraoui and De Ligt, right? That's proving to be one of the bargains of the century. Again, Berge plays that same position on the pitch, that one of the 6s in the pivots, but he does get forward a little bit more than McTominay. If you look at his heat maps, it's more clustered just inside the opposition half on the right side. So that's kind of where he lives right there. He gets forward, and he's kind of like a conduit a little bit, taking the ball off the defense, getting forward, and then passing it forward. That's kind of what he's doing. It's like a relay race almost. Like I think he offers more all around in his game than McTominay does, because he still does what McTominay does, but he does all these other things better too. And he creates more chances. His chance creation is much better than McTominay. So not as many goals as McTominay, but he's definitely got more chance creation. So Danny B says he covers more ground and way better. Yeah, I do think he's better on the ball, and that's what I think why I think maybe that would be an improvement on McTominay, because he does what McTominay does, but he does other things as well, and he's better at the things that McTominay is good at as well. So I think that. And this is kind of just the comparison McTominay to Berge. I'm sure you can compare McTominay to a lot of other players that we've been linked with. We've looked at some of those players in the past. We did a deep dive on Ugarte, McTominay. Obviously, Amrabat was here. We were linked with Fofana. Fofana looks like that's going to AC Milan. Whether that was us kind of pressuring PSG, who knows? But it's going crazy this year. So I do appreciate you indulging me on the McTominay deep dive a little bit. Again, the point here today is not to convince anyone one way or the other. I think we should keep him. I think this. You decide what you think. I'm just, again, what do I always say? Context is key. The point is to add a little context to let you really see some of the hard numbers and things. Looking at heat maps, looking at percentile ranks, looking at statistics and things over the course of a couple of different years under a couple of different managers to see what each of these players is doing. And Danny B says it is a good upgrade. I think it will be a good upgrade. The question is, would Sander Berge want to come in and play and not be kind of guaranteed first team football minutes? Because he's not going to be the Ugarte 6. He's going to be more like what Colin Mainu does a little bit. So would he be happy rotating and not being, I mean, that's the thing. You have to convince these players, like, you may not start every single week. That's just almost unrealistic in the modern game with so much football being played. But City have done it for years. Liverpool do it for years. Also, like, there's going to be games. You're easily going to get, a couple dozen matches if you're good enough. If you prove that we need to play you, you'll get that. We play upwards between 60, 70 matches a season sometimes, some of these footballers, and so there will be opportunities for him to play. It's just a matter of getting that price down and what he wants to do. So it's still anyone's guess if McTominay stays or goes. It sounds like maybe he wants to play more football, and he's just not going to get that here. I mean, the writing's kind of on the wall when we're pushing hard for Ugarte and Mainu is pretty much starting every week, and you're coming on as a sub. I'm not saying that's bad, and there's nothing wrong with being a squad player. Many of our best players throughout the years have done that. Your John O'Shea's, your West Browns. There's nothing wrong with having that role. We need players like that in the squad. Your Darren Fletchers, all these guys. It's just a question of whether or not McTominay wants that or not, or if he backs himself to go play regular for starting 11 football someplace else, which I think, like I said, he could at another club. Like I said, Everton, Brentford, Fulham, I think he would be fine at those clubs. I'm surprised that Mourinho didn't try to take him to Roma, but it is what it is on that. Dharmesh Seth with Sky Sports does say United want to keep him if he wants to stay and is content with his role, like we've been talking about. It's just a matter of if, again, McTominay wants to play that squad player role or if he thinks he can go do first team minutes, which could come down to what Fulham are offering. Remember, Fulham sold Paulinho, haven't replaced Paulinho yet. They did bring in Emil Smith-Rowe, but he doesn't play the role McTominay plays. So what does Marco Silva see in McTominay? Does he see him as a João Paulinho replacement? If that's what he sees him as, and that's what he wants to use him as, then he's more than welcome to try. I don't think going from João Paulinho to Scott McTominay. I'm not trying to insult McTominay. It's not the same thing. There's levels to this, right? So back to Berge, though. I do think Berge is a good upgrade. I did think Amrabat would be a good upgrade. Again, similar sort of player. Amrabat is a ball progressing midfielder. He's not. Don't let the World Cup fool you on Kylian Mbappe. When he was at Fiorentina, his ball progression numbers were just solid. I'm talking stacked. In all those metrics, he's a good ball playing midfielder. It was not the ideal situation that Amrabat walked into at United with injuries and whatnot. So I feel like that kind of hurt him. But Odds Checker also has shortened McTominay's odds when it comes to joining Fulham from 5-2 to 6-4 today. So it sounds like this could be going if a lot of these latest rumors are factual, like this report from Tuta Napoli, some of Dharmesh, and then the Odds Checker and stuff. It sounds like this could be something that goes down this week. Is it something that could go down today? I don't know. Obviously, if it does, I will be back to get your thoughts on that and see maybe what kind of implications it has for the rest of our window, the rest of our week. It does sound like we need to sell if we want to move forward with some of these other deals. 2 midfielders, 1 midfielder, left back. Fabrizio Romano was talking earlier today about Kariolu, saying that he thinks it might be too expensive for United to go in for Kariolu, considering what else we need to strengthen this summer. Maybe it's just blind hope. I'm just holding out hope for Ferdy because I love some Ferdy in my life. I think that guy is potentially a class left back. I do think that about a lot of left backs. I like DeMarco at Inter. I think is top drawer. I mean, obviously he's more of a wing back in that system. I honestly think Fran Garcia at Real Madrid is an excellent left back as well. I think that he should be starting over Mendy at Madrid, but maybe he'll get a chance. I know Mendy picked up a red card in that match yesterday. I was at my buddy's house watching that, so we'll see what happens there. And other news real quick to close out. So Stephen Railston with the MEN, he has reported that Will Fish is joining Cardiff City permanently. That just came out shortly before I went live today. Will Fish leaving Manchester United to go to Cardiff City permanently, which is probably best for him. Hasn't quite worked out for Will Fish United. I remember his name kind of popping up a couple years ago when he was a teenager. Had a few loans. Obviously, he played a little bit in preseason, picked up that injury in that one match. Obviously, the injury is probably not super serious. He is 21 now, though. He really needs to be playing, so I think that could be a good fit for him. Go and get some minutes in England in the Championship. The Championship is actually a great league for youngsters to go in and apply their trade. It's like the Premier League. They play more matches. It is physical. You do get away with a little bit more of the physicality in that league. I was just watching a match, Sunderland's match, because I was trying to keep an eye on Jude Bellingham's brother, Job, who is excellent at Sunderland, by the way. If you guys ever get a chance to go watch Sunderland match, watch Job. He pretty much is the playmaker for that side. Really good player. I have a dream one day, maybe Job, maybe Cobby, maybe Adam Wharton, all playing for United, and who knows. Danny V says, probably best, don't think he's Prem level, didn't realize he was 21. Yeah, Will Fish is 21 now. We saw him play in preseason. I remember making that comment on one of those videos. He kind of made a mistake for a goal, and it's like that kind of mistake, just not tracking, kind of falling asleep, losing runners and stuff. That's why we probably haven't seen him. Like Kambwala came right in. Obviously, we had injuries, but Kambwala came right in and looked very good. Will Fish has never really. And again, it's not saying he's bad. It's just there are levels. You know, there's Manchester United and there's Championship, and it's just it is what it is. Katie says best for Fish and move on for regular football. Any idea what the fee is? I have not seen any numbers rolling around. It's probably going to be low, but I imagine there's probably going to be a sell-on clause involved, as we like to do. But I haven't, like I said, it was kind of breaking news just before going live. So once the final details of that are hashed out, I'll recap that in another video just to remind everybody what that is. But if you know the fee, you let me know in the chat if you know how much Will Fish is going for. I can't imagine it's going to be a lot, though. Probably a couple million. But best of luck, Will Fish. Go play football, man, and get some minutes under your belt, and then show us that we made a mistake for not sticking with you. That's what the challenge I put to all these youngsters when they get sold before they really get a chance. Go show us that we made a mistake, and then it's only works out well for you if that happens. And I mean, financially, to work out well for us with some of the sell-on clauses anyway. So. But that is going to be it for me today, guys. Like I said, not a ton of news, but because of the McTominay transfer saga, I really just wanted to explore a little bit what was going on with that and give some of those numbers to add a little bit of context of what we need to improve on, what he offers, and can we improve on that moving forward. So let me know what your thoughts are, McTominay. I know I don't have to ask some of you. It's been pretty clear how we all feel. I think that 30 million for McTominay is you snatch that and you run and you can improve the squad. You can get Sander Berge, you can put some of that money towards Ugarte, and you're set. The pressure will be on in that case as well. Don't forget to come back a little later on in the transfer window when it closes, when we do our transfer. We're rating the transfer window and then putting out our expectations for the season. We're going to be talking about where you expect United to finish in the table, how you expect the top four to look, what are your demands, what are your minimums, where do you see us finishing in some of these other trophy competitions? We're going to be talking about all that in that video. Hopefully have some guests, kind of like I did with my buddy Dylan. Maybe even more from the Detroit Red Devils group. We'll see how that goes. I need to finagle a system in here for that because right now I have a tiny little desk, but it's enough job for me. But please like the video if you haven't yet. Please subscribe to the channel if you are new. Go check me out on Twitter, MUFC versus everybody. And then barring any breaking news today in terms of sales or purchases, I'll probably see you guys tomorrow. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day. Danny, enjoy your day off. Katie, good to see you again, man. Glad, things are moving forward, but, we're here for you, buddy. Nick, thanks for stopping by, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later.